Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Mom Mode. I am so excited for the guest that we have on today, which is Audrey from Audrey and Nathan Music. They have two different platforms, TikTok and Instagram, that they post on, and they have amazing music that they are putting out and creating. So go and follow Audrey and Nathan Music if you have not followed them already. Audrey, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to introduce you to everyone and learn a little more about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was just telling you before this, but this is my first podcast ever. Um, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. I feel like most people that if you're listening to this coming from one of our pages, like you've probably never heard me talk. You've only heard me sing. So I hope it's received well. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I had reached out to Audrey. I'm like, I'm always hearing all these beautiful songs that you're creating. I'm like, but who is Audrey? Like, who are you as a mom? Who are you as a person? And I thought it would be really fun to share with everyone. So who are you? Like, let's dive into that. Like, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
I'm Audrey. I'm 26. I'm married to my husband, Nathan, who is obviously Nathan and Audrey and Nathan. We have a 17-month-old toddler named Galilee for short, and we live in Kentucky. So, of course, like we post music and started on TikTok and then kind of now transitioned into Instagram as well. But that's like such a small part of our life. That's like we feel so far removed from sometimes. We feel really blessed to kind of have that outlet and an outlet that we get to share together. But it's new. We feel like above all, I'm like a mom first, and that's like 99% of my life, and then the music piece is like 1%. So it's funny that now that part of my life is growing, and I just I don't talk about it very much, to be honest. So I'm excited to chat with you about it. Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, becoming a mom, your daughter's 17 months old. I mean, how has that been? Like, what emotions and feelings has that created in you? And I guess, were you guys trying to have a baby? Do you want a big family? I have all the questions.
Oh,
But
yeah.
how has mom life been for you? Like, if someone was like, how are you doing as a mom right now? Like, what would you say?
I would say right about 17 months, it started to get a little bit easier. But if I'm being like totally transparent, it like rocked my world. I was not anticipating um the weight of what being a mom feels like, and we we were trying, like we thought we were prepared for this, and uh like you don't know it until you know it. I didn't come from a background where I had a lot of experience with kids. When I had my daughter, I always tell everyone this, like I never changed a diaper. Like I had babysat maybe once in my life. And of course, like I was reading all the books and like I was reading every blog and I was part of all these mom groups and like the mom apps and everything where you like talk to each other before you have a kid and you're all preparing together, and like nothing could have prepared me for um just like the emotional toll that it took on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't talk about it much, if I'm being totally honest. And it's so funny because I say more in our songs than I would ever, you know, speak into the world. Like,
Yeah, like that's how it comes out of you,
yeah,
is through your music.
yeah. It's like it is like truly an incredible outlet because like even I don't know if I've talked to like even my family or some things that I've expressed in songs I've never even talked to Nathan about. He's hearing it for the first time as he's like back there playing guitar. And um it's like postpartum for me. um I was never like as mental health conscious, I would say, growing up. I was like very blessed in that way. I never really struggled with mental health. And I know that I'm like incredibly lucky to be able to say that. So that's not lost on me by any means. But so when I started to feel things that were like a little abnormal, like I knew that what I was feeling was not normal, but I couldn't put a name to it. Like I couldn't identify what was happening. Um, and of course, like you go to the doctor at your like post appointments and you like check like, nope, I'm good. I'm good on the boxes. Like I'm not, I'm not having like weird thoughts, like, cause you're like, you feel like a failed mom, if you're experiencing those feelings. And I kind of just bottled it up at that point. Um, and so it hasn't been like an easy ride, the way that I maybe anticipated. I thought I would adjust to it better, and I did not. And not to start this off on like a really deep note, but
No,
I
I
think like,
appreciate you being vulnerable.
thank you. I think a lot of people can relate to like knowing that what you're going through is not normal, but like not being able to put an identifier on it or a label.
Yeah.
And just
And
assume you're fine because of that, but it's not true.
no, and if it makes you feel any better, how you literally just described this, that it rocked your world. I've literally used that term when I've talked to people when they're like, how are you? I'm like, and at first I was ashamed to admit it. You and I think part of your body also goes into like survival mode where like you're like, no, I am okay. I am okay. But then like now that, like I said, I have a 15-month-old daughter, so I'm like right behind you. Um, I just feel like now that I'm coming out of it, now I can be like, whoa, like
Right.
it's like, how about that ride in? Like that really rocked my world. Like I really feel that to my core. So I can relate with you, and I'm literally right there with you. So like, don't feel that you're alone in that, because I feel that, and you know, I am like not ready to have another baby, and I'm
Oh,
like, there's no way that I'm ready. I'm just going to enjoy my daughter right now. And if I get there and we decide to have another one, we get there, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself because I just want to feel myself again and feel good. So,
yeah. I feel the same way. And like when you have a kid that's like coming up on like a year and a half, like of course you start to get those questions of like, okay, like you're gonna give her a little sister, a little brother, like she's gonna be such a good sibling one day, or like when are you guys interested in having another? And like for me in my brain, it's like it almost has, I still feel like a new mom. Like I think I always will. And I think it's just something in my DNA that like I was so, and of course I would do it all over again. Like let me level set. It's so worth it. Um, but like it truly like rewired my brain in a way that I don't know if I'm ready for again. And people joke with me. They're like, okay, well, your first one was really hard. That means your second one's going to be so easy. It's going to be a breeze. And like, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, but what if it's not? What if I don't sleep for 16 months again? Like, what if I start, becoming that like angry version of myself again? Like, am I going to be able to do that? Can my marriage go through that again? Can I be the best mom to my other child if I'm going through that again? And it's like all these thoughts that like, I don't blame the people asking that because it's like a societal thing. And like, I live in the South and people here have big families and that's just like the norm. So I don't fault them for asking, but I just am simply not ready. Like, I don't like dread the thought of it, but I just don't know if I'm prepared for that journey again. If that
yeah,
makes
and that's okay. And that's like, we have to look at it like that's a beautiful thing that you recognize that. Like that is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing that you can sit here, resonate with your feelings, and be like, I'm good with where I'm at, or at least I hope you're getting better and it's getting easier and you're feeling yourself again. And yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I lost myself for a minute. And I feel like now I'm like finding my way. And so, your music, like you said, I mean, that's incredible. Like, so do you write these songs? Like, do you sit and write them, or do you guys just go, your husband starts playing and then these words come out? Like, how, like, and what started it? Like, did you know that you had this in you? Like, did you write music before?
It's so interesting. I never in my life would have categorized myself as a musician in any way. I have no background with music. I can like play 4 chords on a guitar and that's like pretty much it. I've always loved writing. I've always kind of had like that itch. But at the end of the day, I've worked in corporate for the last 5 years. I have a master's degree. Like I went and got my MBA. Um, because like that was the path that I saw for myself. Like uh nothing like creative like really took place. Like I was so like corporate minded. Like that was my path. My husband works in real estate. Like my husband has like a really deep background in music. He's the musician. And what's so funny is like the first video that we posted on TikTok, um I had just laid my daughter down for a nap and kind of just like my husband had left his guitar out and I kind of just picked it up and kind of wrote a song called Mom and Dad. And I think I had less than 100 followers at the time. It was like mostly family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of like posting and going viral was like foreign to me. It was like not even a thought. And I know people say like, okay, yeah, well, you did it and posted it. Of course, you expected to get the attention. That's like not, it wasn't even a thought. And so once that video went viral of just me, I was like, whoa, 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 like my husband's the real musician. Like we need to do this. If they liked me, like they're gonna love you. Like he can play every instrument. Like he can pick up anything and just play by ear. It's
Oh my
absolutely,
gosh.
he's like the most talented person. He could go on tour with anybody. He's insane. But so our process is kind of funny. Like he's very music centric and I'm very much like lyric centric. And our process, and we get lots of questions about this, our process is I'll come with like either the bones of like a first verse chorus, which is typically what we post on socials. And sometimes I have a melody in mind. Most of the times I don't. And I'll hand it off to Nathan and be like, okay, do something amazing with this. He'll crank out this incredible melody that like I never could have done on my own. So it's like it's a perfect like mesh in that way because I'm still being able to like say the things that are like only my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to like be fulfilled in like the music piece of it. And we also like don't butt heads because we both have like different specialties. And
Yeah.
so, as we've been like having conversations, like what should we really do with this? It's never once been a question of like, okay, is it Audrey or is it Nathan? It's been like, okay, it's Audrey and Nathan, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're doing this together or not at all. And I think that that's like the best part of it is that we get to do it together. But like, we feel like it's crazy. Like we just hit 100,000 on TikTok. We're like kind of close on Instagram, and we started in October of 2024.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that that's how
We're
new.
like new, and it's like so beyond us. Like we feel just so blessed, and I've always said like when God has a path for you, He makes it really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I like live by that. Like if He wants doors to open, He's gonna open them, and you just gotta like walk through them until He closes them. So that's what we're doing. Like posting, we're still working our full-time jobs, but like we're taking opportunities as they come, and just like really giving all the glory to Him because like what in the world? Like this couldn't have happened without some kind of
That's so
you know.
beautiful though. I love how you explain that when the doors are opening, you just keep walking through them.
That's kind
Do
of
you find that this is healing you? Like with what you're expressed, I mean, it sounds like you went through some rough emotions and like maybe you're still dealing with that, becoming a mom. Is writing what you found was like your outlet to help you? And then that's where these songs started coming.
I think it's becoming that way. When it's social media is such a funny thing because you do something with the best of intentions and like the purest of intentions at the beginning, and then like once you start getting, I was telling you like about like the dopamine of like social
Mm-hmm.
media, it does become a little bit of a pressure. Okay, people like this song about postpartum depression, like I need to write another song about that. Like even if it's not what I'm feeling in that moment, I try to like bring back those emotions so I can write about it again. And like there is that like pressure of social media now which can sometimes detract from it, unfortunately. But it is an outlet in the way that like it's something that I can do with Nathan that really is like a common passion. And like a lot of couples and married couples aren't fortunate to have like a binding hobby that they get to talk about over dinner, and like that they, that they really enjoy doing together. And like it hasn't become a job yet for us, which also makes it like a little bit lighthearted.
Yeah.
So it's an outlet in the sense that it's something that I can do. It's like a way that I can communicate to my husband, in like a way that we can kind of strengthen our relationship without pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, how has that brought your marriage closer together? I noticed that you guys met when you were really young.
Yeah.
So you met when you were, was it 6th grade?
Yeah, it's actually a really funny story, if I can tell it.
Yeah, tell it. We want to hear it.
So I live in a really small town in Kentucky. It's like your typical Kentucky town. I went to a private school growing up, and Nathan transferred to my school for 1 year. It was the 6th grade. And then kind of like in the middle of the year, he was one of those kids that just kind of like disappeared, like left all his stuff in his desk, like stuff in the locker, like urban legend type stuff. Just like,
Okay.
And then
never came back.
Yeah, but we live in a small town, and like we had mutuals. I like saw him on social media. A lot of my friends were his friends, but we like never really intersected. And then I was in, so like fast forward to 2020. So we met 1 year in 6th grade, and then fast forward to 2020. I was living in Nashville doing my master's, and Nathan was in Lexington, Kentucky, finishing school. And I posted like a selfie, so cringy. I posted a selfie on like what was previously Twitter, X, and Nathan slid into the DMs, and I'm not like a DMs person, but because I like knew of him in some kind of form or fashion, I like felt comfortable enough to be like, hey.
Yeah.
And so like literally the next week he was driving like the 4 hours to Nashville, and
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I credit COVID for our relationship, because we both moved home, which like we never saw ourselves doing that. So moved home, and then just kind of like quarantined together for that full year, and then got married. And we got married in 2021. So it's been like a while, but
yeah.
So like
I love that story. So like literally
saying like music was never anything that bonded. Like we both loved listening to music. It's so funny that that's where our life is gone, when it wasn't really even a factor that brought us together. So it's just, you never really know. Like you learn new things about your spouse all the time. It's really interesting.
Yeah. No, I love that. So he slid in the DMs, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
So you said that Nathan's always been like really musically inclined. So is that like, did he ever like create music, or like did he just play for fun?
Yeah. So he played growing up in church. So he like was he plays like literally everything. It's amazing. His mom is like an amazing piano player as well. So he's just naturally inclined. He played in a few bands here and there, just kind of one off. And he's kind of like, he has a lot of friends that are musical, but he's never been like, not to my knowledge. Of course, I learn new things about him. I'll probably listen to this and be like, no, I was, but he does. He's just, he's always been kind of in that world, but not like in a professional sense.
Okay.
Like not on social media, not really. Yeah. But he's got the talent for it. He's like so incredible. I can't like say enough about how incredible he is. So it's just like, it's so funny how things in your life, like, he works in real estate. Like you would never imagine that about him, but
no.
Yeah, unreal.
So when you say, you had mentioned that you kind of communicate with him through your music. So did he not realize, I mean, obviously like his experience and your experience are totally like, mom and dad's experiences are very different. Do you think that he realized until you started singing that you were kind of going through this really tough, challenging time becoming a new mom?
Yeah, I think we both had an adjustment period. I think for him, it was more so there's added pressure to like be home and uh kind of like the mental weight of becoming a dad is like different than the mental weight of becoming a mom. A lot of that is like maybe it's financial, or like maybe it's you're used to traveling a lot and now you can't do that. Like your outlets can't be your outlets anymore because now you have a baby. It's like a different, it's different weights, and they're like both completely valid. Um, but we struggled in different ways, I would say. And it, I don't know if I had the ability to communicate while I was going through it, what I was going through. I don't think that I could like put myself in the right space to sit him down and be like, this is what I'm going through. And like, this is not okay. I'm not doing well. Because at the time I still, when I look back, it's like, it's sad. It's like, it's literally like a black hole in my memory a little bit. I just felt like I was like a little bit delirious, like all over the place in those
Yeah.
moments. I don't know if I could have, even if I wanted to, communicate what I was going through. And that's like so unfortunate because I know that so many women go through that. Uh,
Yeah. It's like a survival mode. Literally, like you're in survival mode, and then I feel like you almost your body and mind doesn't want to look back because it was really hard. So
yeah.
you just are like kind of happy to be where you're currently at. To when you look back and when you talk about it and you look back, it almost doesn't seem as bad as it actually was. At least that's what I find for myself as I look back and I'm like, wow, I don't like who I was then. Or, you talked about anger a little bit. Like I definitely went through like that mom rage, I think they call it, like where I was I like would yell at my dog. Like if he was licking, like I would just like yell at him. I'm like, he's doing nothing wrong. And something that like never used to bother me all of a sudden was like so heightened and like would frustrate me. I
It's
don't
like a
know.
body experience, and like you're not yourself. You're a new person, and it's just like you're adjusting to a new body. You're adjusting to like so many new responsibilities. And I the anger and the resentment is something that I struggled with, and like I still like feel bad about those things. Um, but you just like have to give yourself grace and like
Mhm.
as much as you can communicate. Like I know that this is not me. You know, you married me and you did not marry this version of me.
I
And
know you have your song. You have a
you
song,
needed
right?
for
That you
you.
you wrote about this. I was listening to that, like that song.
Yeah, it really is like an altering experience, but like the hope is that the version of you that's new and brand new is like still complementary to the version of him that's new, and that you
Mhm.
just grow together um and kind of take those responsibilities together, even though it's like much harder said than done. Like people listen to our songs and it's so funny. Like people ask, "What's your best marriage advice? Like what tips would you give?" And I'm like, "I'm not your girl. I struggled so badly. I still do. Like just because I'm writing these songs does not mean that I like in kind of like a retroactive way just
Mhm.
that I don't still struggle with these things, or like that me and Nathan still don't struggle. As much as I would love to just give like life altering advice, I like am not capable. And social media is weird in the way like the same way that you watch your favorite influencers and you think that they have it all together and like their house is perfectly clean, and it's the same way like listening to our music. Like you're seeing the really honest, vulnerable moments in our life, but there's so many moments that are not like that.
Mhm.
And so I feel like incredibly blessed to have like new eyes on us as we're, writing about our experiences, because I really hope it makes people feel seen in that way. But
Definitely.
that we're never giving off this like perception that we are perfect or have it all figured out, or like that we communicate like that naturally, because it's not natural, I don't think, for anybody.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people are relating to what you're saying, and I think it's beautiful. Like I feel like you are helping heal moms and dads. Like my husband actually came across I think just one of your songs had popped up and he sent it to me, and it must have been like honestly right when you started, because it was months ago.
So,
And he like sent it to me and I was like, I think it was Cutting Raspberries?
oh yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the one. And he sent that to me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And yeah, obviously we've just been following along them, but I didn't realize that you started it probably when we first saw some of your music.
Yeah.
But you are definitely healing people, but I understand what you're saying. So it's like you're going through it and you're creating this music today, which means you're still going through this. Like you're writing about present emotions and feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I feel it in so many ways, and like my daughter is like the best thing that ever could have happened to me. Um, there's not a thing that I would have changed, because I think it made me the mom I am. I think it made her the child, the amazing, perfect, precious, beautiful child that she is. And I hope that like when she grows up, she's not listening to these songs and thinking, this is like another pressure that I feel, is like she's gonna listen to this one day and be like, oh my goodness, my mom hated her life. And like that's not the case. And I hope that our music to her one day is like a testament of how you can be struggling and like find your way out of it, and like find strength in your marriage, and like find strength in God. And I hope that she can view it through that lens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pressure that I feel a lot, being so vulnerable on social media with my emotions, that like she's gonna look back one day and think that I thought it was a negative experience, when that's not the view that I have of it. I don't even remember what you asked, but random thought.
No, you're good. So when you're writing your music, I guess I'll start here. Before you started writing, I mean, if you started putting this music out in October, is that when you posted that first viral video of yourself?
I just looked the other day. I think it was October 10th, maybe.
Okay. So what were you doing before you started writing music? Like what were you doing to help yourself, or where were you at mentally before you really found this outlet of like putting these emotions that you were feeling inside? And like, I mean, you're writing music and you probably didn't even realize you were writing music. You were just writing and almost like just allowing it to flow out of you, to put it somewhere else so you're not bottling it up.
Right.
But what did you do like before then?
It's a really good question. One thing that's hopefully relatable about like my experience as a mom is I would say like the driving factor and like why I was struggling so much was lack of sleep. My daughter didn't sleep through the night, and I know that that's a societal pressure and like all the things, like I hear you. But my baby didn't sleep till she was 13, 14 months. I remember her being 13 months and she was up 8 times a night to feed. I was still breastfeeding at that point. And that really consumed so much of my life, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
That anxiety. I would like cry before night every night, just because I like knew it was gonna be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point when I started writing music is right when it started getting a little bit better. And I started to feel this like, okay, I'm kind of outside of it a little bit. I'm I'm able to like view things as they are now, rather than someone that's like in the middle of a tornado. I can like step back and like watch myself and be like, okay, you like kind of made it through. And you can kind of like reflect on those experiences and like put words to them now in a way that you were not before. And I think when I sat down to write that first song, when Nathan and I like started writing the remainder of the songs that we posted together, we're looking at it through the lens of like someone that's taken like a few steps away from it. And you can really, once you do that, you're able to communicate and verbalize it a lot better. If that makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense.
Like what I was doing, like not sleeping. Like I was just living my life. Like I said, like I work a 9 to 5. I work from home, which like I'm so blessed to be able to do that. But I was really struggling to find something I was passionate about was like very much in that just like routine. And if you're a mom that's like struggling, again, so much easier said than done, but like try to find something that you're passionate about. I know you're doing this podcast. I think that's like an incredible outlet.
Thank you.
But just like do something that you find joy in, and try to remove yourself from like the stress or the pressure of that, of it doing well, and just like do it.
Yeah.
Like, you can have 10 followers, but like if you're enjoying posting content, like post content, do it for yourself, and so that you can be the best mom to your baby as you can, without the pressure of it just being good or the pressure of it doing well.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. Audrey and I were talking about how, when I started the podcast, it was really just an outlet for me. Like, this wasn't for me to be some major podcaster. It was just like, I'm doing the day-to-day with my daughter, and I just needed an outlet of like, who am I? And this was a step in the direction of finding myself again. And, I think a lot of moms feel that way, and they might not be able to admit it. They might be unaware of it, but hopefully by hearing me and Audrey talk about it, it might help you. So you weren't sleeping, and then you were doing your 9 to 5.
Yeah. So again, like I work from home, and I know there's many moms that work a 9 to 5, not at home. And, so the fact that I'm really blessed to work from home is not lost on me, and I'm very aware of that. But yeah, I work a 9 to 5. I work in marketing. And I had 3 months of maternity leave, which again is a huge blessing, but like even that is 6 months a year is never enough.
No,
no.
Like, I feel like we do not get enough maternity leave here. That's just got to be said.
Cool. But like I went back to my job, still like completely delirious, if I'm being honest. Just like struggling through my job, knowing that like there's like a mindset shift. Like my job is so important to me. And if my boss is listening to this, like whatever, we've talked about it too.
Yeah.
Job used to be like so important to me. I like was all about like climbing the ladder. And when you have in your life something that's suddenly so massive compared to your job, like that mindset shifts dramatically. And so like going to work felt literally pointless. If I'm being honest, it feels like I'm like dedicating my life to this job when I could be spending it with my baby. It's a funny thing. Again, like I talk a lot about these like societal pressures, and it's an unfortunate thing that sometimes parents feel like they have to sacrifice time with their children to afford their life. It's something that's like not talked about on paper.
No, I would agree. I would agree 100%.
But we were not at a point where we can make that work, and that's the hope one day that I'll be able to stay at home even though I am at home.
Yeah.
With my baby full time, so I can be like the best version of myself. But for now, that's what I'm doing, and like I feel really blessed. Like at the end of the day, I'm incredibly blessed, even though sometimes it's stressful.
Yeah, it's a lot to juggle, and
totally.
Then you add in the music. So I mean, when your video went viral, I mean, like, how has that changed your life? Like, how, like, let's talk about that, because that's a big deal. And like you said, you were making the music for a passion, but then you also, like, regardless if you're trying to or not, there's this pressure now of like, oh my gosh, we have to put more music out, or I have to write, they seem to like this kind of music. So, I mean, how are you feeling with everything?
At the end of the day, it's amazing because it's something that I like. And obviously, like, we're trying to take it somewhere. We don't really know where that somewhere is yet. Within the industry, the music industry is really interesting. And I was like completely unfamiliar until like about a week after we started posting. We've had lots of conversations with like everything from like management to like labels to publishers, like all the things. And their job is to find people who are early in their career, who have an interest, and they want to help you capitalize. If you're working with the right people, they're trying to help you capitalize on what you're already doing. And so we've just been like navigating a lot of those conversations. We recently signed with like an amazing manager who we love and who's also a mom. We love working with people that are parents because, again, there's like a different lens that
you can relate. Yeah, the lens.
And like priorities and like Nathan and I, we tell everyone, we're never going to be like, we love to perform. I don't think we're ever going to be like touring the world. Like we have a very certain lifestyle that we want for our child, marriage, and like that's P0 above all. But like it's interesting when you post on social media, especially music, people assume that's like your thing. I don't know how to word this. People assume that we are like full-time artists who have hundreds of thousands of dollars at our disposal to just like crank out song after song after song. And we have our first little plug. We have our first song coming out on Valentine's Day, called My Baby's Baby. And that was the first song that ever really took off on TikTok and took off in like millions of views. And songs take 3-4 months to make and multiple thousands of dollars to make. And so like we announced we're releasing this song, and then like of course after that like another song, Just a Mom, if anyone that's listening knows, Just a Mom went viral, and like everyone's like, why aren't you releasing this one? Like please release this one. I'm like, oh my goodness, if you only knew how much pressure and like how much like money, how many months it takes to create a song and do it the right way, in like a sustainable way that's not just like pushing out song after song. It's hard. Like that on top of being a full-time mom, on top of being a full-time employee, like there is just so much pressure, and I don't want that to ever take away like the fun of it. So I want to like make all these people happy because I feel like so blessed. Like it's literally like a little community that we've like garnered, which is, we're so lucky. But there's also the stress of I want to make them happy, and like I also want to keep it my own and keep the integrity behind it. But it's a really long-winded answer.
No, it's great. I love it. You're so vulnerable and you're so honest. And
yeah, thank you. We're trying to find the right avenue for us that makes sense for our family, with the right people that make sense for our family. And
that makes sense.
Thanks. It's something we're navigating and like we're figuring it out. But
do you think you'll stay in Kentucky? And like when you're recording this music, like did you have to leave Kentucky to record it? Are you able to record it near home?
Yeah. Good question. So we are close enough to the Nashville line where that's like an easy, feasible way for us to do things. So like we'll go to Nashville. Most of the people that we work with are in Nashville. So yeah, we recorded our first song with the producer in Nashville, and we've been up there for like writing sessions and things, which is really cool because that's like we love that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go to Nashville. We will. I don't want to say like never, but we really like value our life in Kentucky and just the peace that we have. I think I told you this before the call, but I'll tell you now. Like I live in my parents' backyard. We built a house on their farm, and so like we're like a little commune. And I can literally like walk across the yard to bring my baby to my mom. That's where she is right now. She's just like babysitting.
I love that. I literally love that. Like, are they on like acreage? Like,
yeah. So they have 7 acres, I think, and they were so kind to us. They like kind of subdivided to where we could build. But this is like our dream. Like we love.
I feel like that is the dream. Like
it is.
My parents have 5 acres, and I was like, hey, you know, can we build like a barn or something in your backyard? They're like, absolutely not. They're like, no, we want to be, what did they say? What is it when all your kids move out?
Oh, empty nesters?
Empty nesters. Yeah, my mom's like, no, we want to be empty nesters. We're not trying to have that. Because I love my parents' acreage. Like, I'm like, there's nothing like being home and like actually like not just your hometown, but like at your parents' home. And
Yeah.
like, I'm sure it's very peaceful on the farm. And like, that's how I feel at my parents. I'm like, oh, but I'm like, I don't really love it in Illinois, but I love your house. So can we live in your backyard? And they literally said no. Well, my mom was like,
Right?
absolutely not. And then my dad was like, well, maybe we can work out
Yeah.
something. My dad's like not wanting to be an empty nester, and my mom does.
That's so funny. No, it really is like ultimate life hack is live in your parents' backyard. And like my kid's gonna be able to grow up here where I grew up playing, and like that's such an amazing, rare.
Oh, that's really sweet. So you grew up on the farm.
Right. So I lived in the house right across the way from the time I was maybe like 6 to 20.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's so sweet.
it really is home. And then Nathan and I built our home here after we got married. And yeah, again, like we are so blessed. I when I say these things out loud, it just like hits me how blessed we are because I don't talk about these things very often, but just to be able to live with like in proximity to my parents is even that alone is such a blessing that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And regardless of like your postpartum experience, like just to have people in proximity, um, especially if you're not like close to friends or if none of your friends are in the same life stage as you, like just having family is incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess we can talk about that a little bit. We were talking about how, Audrey, you don't really have any friends that are in a similar like position as you are with having a family
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I don't know. This is something that I want to work on. And maybe a lot of people can relate to this too, but I've never really been like a friend person. That's something that I wished I could change about myself. I really wish I could change that about myself. Like I've had a few close friends in different stages of life. Like college, I had a close friend or multiple close friends. And then in high school, I had close friends. And I still, try to maintain the bones of those relationships now as an adult. Um, but I tend to just like fold into myself whenever I'm struggling with things. And for some reason, my mind is so warped to think like they have other friends. They don't really value my friendship or they invited me, but they don't really want me to go. They just invited me to be nice. That's like something that goes through my mind all the time. And people in my town are so nice. Like they invite me to mom groups and things. And I don't know why my brain is wired to think that they just did that to be nice. But that's something I really want to work on is just like accepting friendships for what they are, too much into them, like cultivating friendships. If
Yeah.
you have any advice, like please tell me because I really struggle with that. I always have.
I actually can relate with you. It's so funny. I'm like, I'm so happy that we met because I can honestly relate with you on so much that you're saying. You're like taking words out of my mouth. But I am very similar. Like I wouldn't say like I have this clan of girlfriends. I mean, I have friends that are, I have great friendships, but I would say that I don't pour into them as much as I maybe should. Or like when I'm really going through something, I always look inward. I'm the girl that stays home. I read, I take a bath, I internalize everything that I'm feeling, thinking, and I'm like, oh, I'll reach out to them when I'm out of this. When really, when we're going through hard times, like we should rely on others that are around us because that could help us and we won't feel so alone. And like how you and I are talking right now, sometimes when you say it out loud, you would be surprised at who can relate with you and that what you're feeling is totally normal. And because I've done the same thing. Like I was going to tell you when you were talking how like you don't reach out and you kind of just do things on your own. Like you might do what I do, which is like I internalize. I am like, oh, I'm going to get through this time by myself. I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine. And then I come out of it and then I'm like, man, that was hard. And then I tell everyone what I was going through. So then I'll be like, yeah, I was not feeling my best, blah, 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 blah. And then people will be like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like,
That's so true.
I don't know. I just thought I don't know. I was just going through it and I thought I would catch you on the other side of it.
So
Like I
yeah.
get so I can totally relate to you. I don't know. My advice, I mean, I don't really have too much advice, but when I was listening to you, my whole thing was like, hey, if you're getting invited to moms groups, maybe when you would say no, say yeah. And then see how you feel. Like if you say like the things that you normally would say no to, change it to a yes and like go out of your comfort zone or, and you might think, oh, I have so much to do tomorrow, or I don't want to be up late, or, I only get so much alone time to myself. But sometimes when you go out of that comfort zone, it can put you in a different state of mind and a really healthy mindset.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's like I said, that's one of my goals for this year is just make one friend. Like I have friends. If you're one of my friends and you listen to this, like just like really, like you said, just pour into somebody, give them what I wish that I had. And even if they're not in the same stage of life, like stop using that as an excuse for not pouring into them. It's not that they're not in the same stage of life as I am. It doesn't mean that they resent me now. It doesn't mean that like I can't relate to them in any way. I think I just need to shift my perspective a little bit and maybe I'll be able to cultivate a friendship. But that's my goal for 2025. So
Your goal.
maybe we're gonna be friends.
Yeah. No, we totally have to be. There's too much we relate on. I wish I was in Kentucky. No, actually, even if someone's not in the same stage of life, like I have friends that they're not married yet. They don't have kids. And like, yeah, I kind of think like, oh, they're not going to want to hear about Sailor. That's my daughter. And I'm like, but they do. And then it's so fun for me to talk about what's going on in their life because it brings me back to like that time in my life of before I was married, before I had Sailor. And I'm like, that's still in me. Like, just because I'm a wife, just because I'm a mom doesn't mean like that life isn't dead.
Yeah.
Like I'm still that person. And so, you kind of respark these, I guess, parts of you that you didn't even realize still existed because you've moved on from that stage in life. But like it's still there.
That's so good. And I feel like that mindset kind of helps you, broaden your identity beyond just a mother or just a wife. And yeah, I need to work on that. Like
it's something that I'm working on. So I'm giving you advice or trying to talk it through with you, but I'm like, I got to do it too.
No, I appreciate it. It is something that I think about a lot, and especially as I've gotten older and like looked back and have been like, man, I would love to have like that pack of girlfriends that I see so many women have. So that's my goal.
I know. I don't have that here either. I mean, your town's pretty small.
Yeah, and I live in my hometown, and like so many of the girls that I grew up with in high school still do too, and like I love them, and I still hang out with them. They're wonderful. I think I would love to cultivate those more. This current stage of life, I want them to spend time with my daughter, and like I want them to like recognize that that's part of my life now. But for us to still be able to connect on other levels besides that.
You almost have to have like a girls' night.
You know what? I thought about it. When Love is Blind season 6 came out, I had them over to watch the premiere.
Yeah.
we were like planning on watching the whole season.
We love Love is Blind. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Love is Blind. So maybe when the second season, not second season, the next season comes out on Valentine's Day. So maybe we'll do like girls.
Yeah. Because you have your song coming out. Like Valentine's Day is a big day.
It is. Love is Blind is more important.
Love is Blind. No, I mean, that's a good, yeah, sometimes like and I'm my own culprit of this too. Like I'm always like, gosh, it'd be so fun to do something with like girls. And then like I sit here and I don't create anything. Like I could reach out too.
Yeah.
So many times I'm like, yeah, no one reaches out, and then I'm like, no, I can do the reaching out. I can put something together. No, I was going to mention another, I found out about this group called the Mom Walk Collective. But I don't know, like there's not the area that I live in. It's very small. And so we don't have it here. But I was going to say, hey, you can always look into that. And it's like a bunch of moms that get together and they walk.
Oh, that's so fun.
Um,
I love
yeah, I heard about it from Kimberly. She was on the podcast
oh,
2 weeks ago, and
yeah.
she mentioned it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I'm always looking for places to meet moms. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean just because we have friendships doesn't mean you can still cultivate those and make new friends.
Yeah.
Because you just never know what those friendships might open up in your life.
Hmm. I love that. I do. I need to. There's so many benefits to living in a small town, um,
Yeah.
and also, like besides all that, like I feel like I've connected with so many moms over the past 4 months.
I was going to say, like, do you know how many moms are relating to your music? They are sitting here listening and you're pulling emotions out of them that they probably didn't even know they had.
It
And
feels like
dads, like my husband was like tearing up at cutting raspberries.
we, yeah, that's a whole nother like piece to this is like you don't think of people that like have like followers or whatever. You don't look at those people and think like they don't have any friends. Like
Hmm.
you like people that have that many followers, like you just don't view them in that way. But like when people comment, so people are so nice and just like comment on my video, and I'm like, they took time out of their day to comment that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're a great friend to me, and they don't even
Mm-hmm.
just by like pouring into me in that way. Like
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds to type something nice about a song that we wrote, and um, so those people are all my friends. I just don't know yet.
Yeah. No, I love that.
It's awesome.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I feel really just like really blessed that that's even like a part of my life that I didn't have 5 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible. And I'm excited to hear your song come out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that was your first song that you ever wrote,
It's the first song that really like I would say like took off.
like
Um
most related to people.
yeah, it's funny because a lot of the songs that we write are I don't know if like doom and gloom is the right word. They're just like kind of more um like intimate and
Definitely.
very like vulnerable. And My Baby's Baby, which is the song that we're releasing, is like by far the most like lighthearted and like
Mm-hmm.
I would say more relatable to like the masses, like people that aren't necessarily moms, but like have a mom,
Mm-hmm.
like much more broad in that way. And so, when it might not be the song that like people want from us, or maybe it is. I don't even know. I try not to like think about it too much.
No, if it's the song for you that you want to put out, you remember you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying about like my daughter listening to these. Like, do I want the first song that we ever put out to be about how much I was struggling, or do I want it to be about how much I love her? And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's the latter. Like, I want her. If this is the only song we ever put out, like it's about how much we just like treasure her, and that's what I want more than anything. So
Yeah. And you know what? When she listens to those songs, she's going to learn a little bit about you, a side of you that at that time, you might not even be able to explain because it was so far back. So
that's
it's so beautiful that you have these songs. And one day, I mean, God willing, she's going to be a mama. And then she's going to be able to listen to those songs and be like, I get how my mom felt.
yeah, it's like a diary. People have called
Yeah.
it's like a journal to her one day. And my favorite comment that I ever get is like, oh my gosh, her daughter's so loved. Or like her daughter, imagine her listening to these one day. And every time I'm like, oh, like, I hope that that's true. I hope that she listens to these and just knows how much she changed our life for the better, even despite all the chaos and the not sleeping and the struggles. And, you know, like at the end of the day, it's all about her. And um, I think that's special.
Yeah, that's really special.
Cute.
Is she sleeping now through the night?
Nicole, she slept till 9 a.m. this morning.
Oh my gosh.
So,
You can't get better than that.
yes, I
Ours
know.
wakes up, Sailor wakes up at like 6:37 and I'm like, here we go.
We went through 2 rounds of sleep consulting. So like we worked with a sleep consultant um and didn't work the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like she got sick halfway through, and if you're a mom, like when your baby's sick, like all sleep goes out the window. It's just like not even part of the conversation anymore. So we tried it a second round, kind of like a last ditch effort. And it worked. And now she's a great sleeper. Like, she's not a great napper, but she's great at night, which is all that really matters.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, as long as she's sleeping at night and
Yeah.
you can get that rest and
Yeah.
just that time to yourself.
That's a huge piece too. It's like you need some time to just like wind down.
Mhm.
And 9 a.m. is kind of an anomaly. Like, she doesn't sleep till 9 a.m. every morning, I promise.
Yeah.
I'm not that lucky, but she has gotten so much better. And like, that's just a testament to like, just stick it out. Like, it's so fleeting in the grand scheme of your life with her. Like, it's such a moment in time.
Mhm.
And you'll come out on the other end. Your kid will sleep again and it'll be okay. I promise.
I know. I think of that too sometimes. You're like, it seems like it's forever when you're going through it. But then you're like, by the time they're 3, like, they're very self-sufficient, which is really wild. You know, like, they can eat pretty much anything. They're going to the bathroom a lot of times. They're potty trained by 3. They're sleeping. Like, they're just your little buddy.
I'm excited for that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
there,
know.
I'm hoping. I'm like, she's already like my best friend. Like, we go shopping together, and I just like, I can't imagine like how I feel now, just like growing as she
Mhm.
gets older. Like, that love just like getting bigger. I can't imagine it being even bigger than it is now, but like, I know it will. And that's the amazing thing about being a parent, is like, it doesn't just like your love continues to grow,
Mhm.
no matter like what's hard. Like, you still just love them.
Yeah.
Pretty cool thing.
No, it's really cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Sailor
Well,
name, by the way. Sorry.
thank you. Oh my gosh, thanks so much. I heard it, some celebrity. Is that like Christy Brinkley? She's like some model from like the 80s.
I've heard that name.
She's like a beautiful, like, human being. And her daughter, it was like years ago, I heard Sailor, and I'm like,
Oh, that's
I
so.
love that name. And then, yeah, when we found out we were having a girl, we were like, I brought it up to my husband, Sailor Grace. So her
Sailor
middle name's
Grace.
Grace.
Oh my goodness. Galley's middle name was almost Grace. It was almost Galilee Grace, but we ended up doing Galilee James, because that's my husband's grandfather's name that passed away. That was his name.
Oh, that's sweet.
But I love like a 1-syllable middle name.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It just goes.
Sailor Grace. It's so cute. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
So cute.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you've been asking for advice, but advice from you to like all the moms out there, like, with what you've been going through, obviously, like you said, moms are looking at you and they're like, she's putting out this music, she has it all together, but what advice would you give to them for anyone that's, struggling with what you really felt that you are or were struggling with during these first years of your daughter's life?
One thing that I started doing, this is like really specific. One thing that I started doing kind of like in the trenches when my daughter was really early is I made it a point to just like get out of the house every day.
Mhm.
I I can make coffee at home, but I try to go get a coffee every day. Something that I like. Um, it makes me put clothes on. Um, I We drive to a coffee shop, and sometimes I don't even get my daughter out of her pajamas. Like, we don't get out of the car, but we just like make it a point to get out of the house. And if
Mhm.
you're fortunate to like have a vehicle, or like you live somewhere walkable, like, just try to make yourself get out of the house, even if it's just like going for a walk around the neighborhood. Um, Push yourself to get out. And then um I would say back to what I said earlier, like, find something that you really enjoy. If it's like making videos of yourself to post on TikTok, if it's writing in a notebook, if it's like reading your Bible, if it's, going for a walk by yourself and like or with your baby, then just like find something that you like to do every day and
Mhm.
like make it a habit. For me right now, it's like sitting down and writing a song, or like going for a drive and getting a coffee, or
Yeah, I love
find
that.
something that you love and like push yourself to do it, make it a habit. But also, if you just don't want to do anything, like, everyone just does what I truly like. I have before I became a mom, I had so much judgment and I like resent that about myself. Like, but now that I'm a mom, I don't judge any mom. Okay. Do what you need to do to make it through this stage in your life, to be the best mom that you can. And we'll make it through it together. Like, if you need to stay in your pajamas all day, if you don't want to go out, like, do what you need to do. And we'll be okay.
Yeah.
I don't have it all figured out, but those are the things that have helped me.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think getting out of the house is definitely really important. Just that fresh air. Just
once a day. Like, just push yourself to do it once a day. And then work yourself up to where you're like going to your favorite store together and just like window shopping, not buying anything. Like, just, I think just getting out, putting clothes on is huge.
No, it really is. Well, I don't want to end our phone call, but I'm like, wait, maybe we can do this again. That'd be fun. It's been so nice. Yeah, it's been so nice talking to you and just learning about you. I'm like, my biggest thing was I'm like, okay, we're hearing the music. Who is Audrey? And like, where are these emotions coming from? So
funny.
Now I understand. And yeah, you're definitely not alone with what you've been feeling. And, my journey might not be exactly, what you went through with your daughters, but I definitely can relate to you. And like you said, and I will say this again, when you said that your world was rocked, you took the words out of my mouth. I've literally said that before, and it's just for a short period of time. But, I hope you stick to those goals that you want to do with reaching out to friends and, do something for yourself and to make yourself feel you again. That's so important.
Thank you. You were the best. Like,
no,
I can't believe that anyone's even interested in talking to me. It's so funny. Like,
oh my gosh.
I'm glad you reached out and
I loved talking to you.
It's so cool. And I hope we can stay in touch. I'd love to come back once I have a better idea of where this thing is going and we can fill each other in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we should do a follow-up episode and just to see how you're doing. Cause I really do feel that like you said, 17 months was there was a difference in motherhood for you. So it's okay, what's it going to be when they're 2 years old, 2.5?
See.
So we should do a returning episode and just seeing how you're feeling and what you're doing. And I'll make sure you're following up on your goals.
Accountable.
I'm going to keep you accountable. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and just being so vulnerable and so open and just, you're so sweet.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So nice to meet you.